So, a close family member asked me recently, what makes you think that XRP will actually create generational wealth? I had to laugh. If you are new to cryptocurrencies, or maybe you've never heard of XRP, this video is for you. Many people I talk to on a daily basis have no idea what is happening right now to the global financial system and may have only heard of what XRP is in passing. Lots of people still think that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency in existence. No, no, no. There is something much greater happening in the background, and most people are completely missing it. We're on the cusp of a once in a thousand year opportunity. See, humanity's lived through the development of the agricultural eras, industrial revolution, the internet era, but you are genuinely not prepared for what is coming next. If you hold a little XRP or are maybe even skeptical about what the cryptocurrency XRP is, I'm going to prove to you how XRP can create generational wealth for you and your family, but only if you have an open mind. That's all it takes, open-mindedness. And I know this to be true because I used to be completely anti-crypto, and it wasn't until God literally woke me up and showed me the opportunity we have standing right in front of us in this generation to create wealth unlike any previous generation has had before us. If you already hold XRP or are interested in knowing more about it, please like and subscribe because we are going to get into it now. So, we are in the midst of the biggest financial earthquake that will create a valley of destitution and poverty for the majority of people. But those who are awake, paying attention, and position themselves properly will find themselves on the mountaintop with generational wealth that we cannot currently fathom. This is what's called the Great Wealth Transfer, and we're walking through it right now. So, just before going further, of course, this is not financial advice, but it's strictly my own opinion and should be used for educational purposes only. That being said, I was completely opposed to any kind of cryptocurrencies back after the events of 2020 because we all got a glimpse in the kind of world that the elites want for us to live in, right? I lost my job for refusing the popular injection at that time and had to completely restart from zero financially. So I wanted nothing to do with this New World Control Grid, the health passports, digital money, zero privacy, all your transactional data available on public record. I was adamantly against it, arguing against it, family gatherings with in-laws, whole nine yards. But it wasn't until one day in 2022, I was listening to another financial video at work, and the guy was discussing this new technology, XRP, and how it was going to revolutionize global finance. I was just about to click off onto another video, but the things he was saying were so compelling, I literally stopped in the middle of the work and watched the video all the way through. And in that moment, at the end of the video, I felt that God was prodding me in my spirit to look into the specific digital asset, XRP. I just couldn't shake it. I prayed about it off and on for a few days and jumped off the cliff into deep research. And what I discovered blew me away. And I'm going to show you why I went from being an XRP hater to one of the biggest investors in this technology. So the future of money as we know it is changing forever. We're already transacting digitally, right? But the technology actually transferring our currencies between banks and different accounts and entities is outdated, slow, expensive, and efficient. And right now, we think we have privacy, but we don't really have the privacy we think we have. For years, the company Ripple has been in the background, quietly building the rails of this new financial system. The native digital asset they use is called XRP, which stands for Cross-Border Remittance Protocol. Basically, it's a fixed supply digital cryptocurrency that is designed to transfer value across borders at institutional government levels. We're talking about big boys, governments, banks, central banks. This is why it's often referred to as the banker's coin, right? So right now, we have institutions transferring money, and the traditional way it takes days, weeks. It's very expensive, switching between intermediary currencies, completely inefficient. Now, imagine a world where literally anything can be tokenized, basically broken down into fractional amounts and recorded digitally on the blockchain, completely transparent and recorded forever digitally. We're talking water rights, land, real estate, government data, currency, livestock, gold, you name it. Imagine being able to transact almost anything of value in less than 3 seconds for a fraction of a penny. That is exactly what XRP does. Provides global liquidity. So literally, it's the new plumbing or the new rails of the global digitized financial system. Here's why I changed my tune about certain cryptocurrencies, specifically XRP. This technology is going to solve so many global financial problems for global institutions that they are now quietly gobbling it up at dirt cheap prices because they know its use case. There's only about 100 billion XRP tokens in existence, so it's a fixed supply asset, meaning each time one of these tokens is used in a transaction, a little tiny fraction of it is burned, basically, making it a deflationary asset. That's not all, though, because it can do multi-billion-dollar transfers of assets in 3 seconds for a fraction of the cost that banks now pay to transfer money. So, this being the case, who do you think will be using this technology? Literally every bank and financial institution on the face of the planet. Are you starting to see how this is going to revolutionize the world? Let me ask you a couple questions, and this should make you think. Why, oh why, out of all the cryptocurrencies, tens of thousands in existence, did Ripple, the company that made XRP, have a lawsuit put on just a few years ago? So if you know anything about disruptive technologies or companies, think Google, Amazon, Tesla. When they came in, they completely changed the landscape of the market they're operating in. And each one of them, at one point in time, had a lawsuit put on them. Why is that? Well, any company or technology that's going to create massive change globally scares all the people operating in the current market, right? So they get legal clarity, they get resolution, they move on, and they end up changing the world. Ripple is in a multi-year lawsuit and beat the SEC and is literally the only cryptocurrency in existence right now that has full legal clarity. So now XRP is positioned as the only cryptocurrency with legal clarity. Think about that for a minute. Why does Ripple have over 1,700 non-disclosure agreements with institutions and different entities globally? Why do people like Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, and Elon Musk, when asked about Ripple or XRP, they kind of almost claim up and act like they can't talk about it? Why did Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and his top leadership team visit the Trump White House, which, oh, by the way, is the most crypto-friendly administration we've ever had, shortly after inauguration? What were they talking about? Why are institutional investors gobbling up XRP tokens by the billions while retail investors are just getting fudded out and giving up and getting emotional, and some are even selling their XRP? It's because they know what they hold, and they hope you don't realize it until it's too late. Are you starting to see the picture yet? So even if a fraction of banks and central banks globally utilize XRP, then the XRP ledger would be facilitating millions and even possibly billions of transactions a day. And one of the creators of this technology, XRP itself, David Schwartz, who's a complete legend in the digital financial space, said that for XRP to function in its intended form, it would have to operate at a very high price, basically to be efficient as possible, right? So instead of sending 10,000 tokens carrying $10,000, you would have each XRP token at a price of $1,000, and it would only require 10 tokens to move that same amount of money or assets, basically freeing up other tokens to be used. So the value of the currency being transacted literally rides on the XRP token. You do US dollars to Chinese yuan, no intermediary, XRP provides the transfer. Tokenized gold, exchange for a plot of land that has a tokenized representation on blockchain, no problem. XRP makes it happen. So with this in mind, think of it like the gold rush, right? So when the gold rush was happening, everyone was sprinting out west to get their stake in it. But when you really think about it, the people that were painting the gold and searching for it and looking and digging and searching for these precious metals, they basically, some of them would hit and win big, some of them would find hardly anything that wasn't worth it. The people and the groups that got extremely wealthy during the gold rush were the ones that owned the tools and the technology that was necessary to dig up the gold, right? So it was those who owned the pickaxes, the shovels, the railways, right? All those systems that were used during this time, those are the people that created generational wealth. And with certain cryptocurrencies, utility-based cryptos, especially XRP, never before in our generation has the common man been able to invest in a technological asset this early and this cheap of an entry point. Right now in 2026, XRP is like $1.05 to purchase each token. If you're awake, the average man has the opportunity to stack side by side with the massive global institutions that are devouring the supply of XRP daily. I've been stacking for a few years now, and opportunities like this used to only exist for accredited investors, right? Now, even if you just have 10 or $20, you can still own a piece of these rails, a piece of the new financial infrastructure that banks and global institutions are clawing and scrambling for. Here's why this matters so much right now. The global elites and mouthpieces have already pulled back the curtain and shown us a glimpse of how they want us to live by 2030, right? You've seen the sound bites. You own nothing, you eat bugs, limited energy consumption, basically operating as slaves and prisoners in these smart cities. So right now, they want us going to work, keep your head down, come home, watch sports, crush some beers, and hope we have something in a retirement account someday. This old system is all going away as this digital global wealth transfer takes place. Those who do not own assets will be standing out in the cold and desperately dependent on the government to take care of them. You know, it looked like living in a tiny house or an urban pod, living off universal basic income that you have to spend by the end of the month or it's dissolved from your account. no ability to pass wealth to your children, completely pigeonholed on what you can even spend your UBI money on. That's what is coming, and it will be a living nightmare for those who are unprepared, unpositioned, and asleep at the wheel. But those who start investing in these new technological rails and accumulate these assets now will be in a completely different position financially. And you'll be able to thrive like never before. You'll have freedom of choice, period. Money, all it really does is buy you time, buy you freedom. And you can hold XRP in the future and lend against it to earn yield. You could sell portions, put them into hard assets like land, real estate, water rights, things that are going to matter in an ever increasing fashion as we enter this new global order of sorts, right? I truly believe God is waking people up to this window of opportunity we have, but it is a small window and it is closing rapidly. With legislation like the Clarity Act on tap to be passed sometime this year in the United States, the adoption of this asset class will explode in the coming year and coming months. We are on the cusp of the greatest financial transition in human history. It will be the best of times and the worst of times. The question is, which side will you be on? And if you want help and want to know how to get started navigating this global wealth transfer and get started in building assets for yourself and your family, click the link below. I got a free training that I use with my coaching clients called the Millennial Money Freedom Program. Essentially, it's a condensed portion of my actual training program I use with paying clients that helps them crush the limiting beliefs they hold around money, adopt the truths, and rewire their brain about how money actually works. And then the four main assets I like in this generation to build wealth and build financial freedom that you can enjoy not only now, but build a legacy for your children as well. Again, if you got something from this video or liked it, please like and subscribe below. I'll see you in the next one.